Hello, this is Teacher Sarah from Phuket PALS. Welcome to yet another GED RLA screencast. The topic of this lesson is reading test, and we're going to be focusing on fiction. If you find this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. It helps us help more people like you. So let's go. First, let's discuss about the GED language reading test. Get a bit of overview. Again, I'm sure you've read about it, you've heard about it, you've probably practiced the test before, but let's just review. Alright, so the GED Language Arts Reading Test measures your, now it's useful, ability to understand, analyze, and respond to ideas found in works of literature and in business and how-to documents. In other words, you will interpret thoughts, feelings, and ideas expressed in writing by other people. The following information will help you understand what you will find on the Language Arts Reading Test. The GED Language Arts Reading Test is not a measure of how much you know about literary history, techniques, or writers. It does not ask you to identify writers or to remember when a work of literature was written. The visual component passages do not test your knowledge of art history. Finally, the test does not include trick questions designed to make you doubt your impressions and opinions about a literature passage. Most questions on the test ask you to think logically and carefully about what a written passage is communicating to you. The Language Arts Reading Test includes two major content areas, literature and nonfiction. These are further broken down into the following categories. You've got literature, which includes fiction, poetry, and plays. They can be taken from anywhere between pre-1920, 1920s to the 1960s, 1960s to the present. And then you have nonfiction, and it includes two major types of passages. You've got viewing component, which consists of detailed descriptive prose. Questions will test your understanding of the descriptions in the passage. And then you have business-related documents such as employee handbook or instructions for using hardware or software. Questions will test your ability to understand and follow instructions. Okay, well, without much further ado, let's look into a text. What is the key to the mystery? Although it was mid-afternoon, it was nearly as dark as a summer night. The ship swayed uneasily at her anchor as the wind howled around her, the rigging giving out musical tones from the deep bass of the shrouds to the high treble of the running rigging. Already the snow was thick enough to blur the outlines of the objects on deck. The officer of the watch stood shivering in the little shelter offered by the mizzenmast bitts, and forward across the snow-covered deck a few unhappy hands crouched vainly seeking shelter under the high bulwarks. The two officers who emerged upon the quarter-deck held their hats onto their heads against the shrieking wind. The shorter, slighter one turned up the collar of his heavy coat and attempted instinctively to pull the front of it tighter across his chest to keep out the penetrating air. As he spoke in the great darkness, he had to raise his voice to make himself heard, despite the confidential nature of what he was saying. It's your best chance, Peabody. The other turned about and stood to windward, with the snow driving into his face before he answered with a single word. "Aye," he said. This is from The Captain from Connecticut by C.S. Forester. You're going to find that in the GED test that there are a couple, especially in the fictional part, or literature part, you're going to find that there are some excerpts taken from books, like we discussed earlier. They can be books or poems or anything else, whatever. Based on the information on this passage, when and where does this scene take place? I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. If your answer is number 2, then you are correct, because the first paragraph reveals the answer to this comprehension question. First paragraph. Yep. The passage states that although it was mid-afternoon, it was nearly as dark as a summer night. So we understand it is afternoon. Later we learn that the snow is falling, so we know that it is winter. Around here, where's that? There you go, snow falling. So we know it is winter. In the second sentence, we learn that the ship swayed uneasily. Here it is. The ship swayed uneasily. And many other nautical details are given as well. Careful attention to these details reveals that the correct answer is choice 2. So they're on a ship. You have this word, the captain. He said the word I. We're talking about the ship here. And there you go. We have the answer. On a ship on a winter afternoon. Question number 2. Based on what we learn about Peabody at the end of the passage, we can tell that in a dangerous situation, he would be likely to... If your answer is number 2, you are incorrect. Because the right answer is number 3. The application question directs your attention to the end of the passage, lines 14 to 16. Here. Note that when his companion hints at danger, Peabody faces directly into the storm and answers with a single word, I. These are not the actions of a man who is likely to run away, to use his verbal abilities, or to rely on others, this or this, for assistance. The best choice is number 3, Peabody. Oh, my computer got stuck. Peabody would be likely to act decisively to face the danger directly. Question number 3. Which phrase from the passage is an example of personification? Personification, before you answer, means describing something that is not human in human terms. For example, giving someone or something, qualities or activities that only a human can do. It was nearly as dark as a summer night. The deep bass of the shrouds, the shrieking wind, stood shivering in the little shelter. The ship swayed uneasily. And there you go. If your answer is number 5, then you are correct. In this case, choice 5 describes the ship as swaying uneasily, a feeling that applies only to humans, so it is the correct choice. Question number 4. What is likely to happen next in this novel? Peabody will attempt a daring and reckless exploit. Peabody will report his friend for spying. The 2 officers will seek shelter from the storm. The 2 officers will tell the sailors to go inside. The sailors will turn against the officers. If your answer is number 1, then you are correct. If you don't have an answer because you're confused with how you can figure out the answer to this question, think about it this way. This is a synthesis question. It asks you to consider the overall feeling of the passage, as well as details of character and plot. To synthesize means to mix things together to create something new. And synthesis questions ask you to create a new understanding of a reading passage by bringing together all the clues at your disposal. In this case, details of the setting. The ship is swaying uneasily. And of the characters' actions point to a daring and reckless exploit, so choice 1 is the correct answer. The first speaker's words, "It is your best chance," hint that it isn't much of a chance, so something dangerous is afoot. Peabody's stance with the snow driving into his face indicates that he will face danger. The other choices are not indicated by the details of the passage. And there we have it. Leave any questions on our YouTube below this video, and let us know if you'd like to learn more about fictional texts. And I will be posting a couple of other information about answering fictional questions, literary questions for this part of the test. And that's it from me. Thank you for watching. I am teacher Sarah from Phuket PALS. Have a good day.